A man in a straw bale was sitting on an icy mountain. The ice began to split, and an avalanche came down the mountain. The man flew above the ground and stood on one of the stones. The ground parted in front of him, and a young boy came out of the hole. The men asked each other who they were. The boy could not remember who he was. A battle began between them. The man in the straw hat used magic, and the boy was thrown back. After a few such blows from magic, the boy began to dodge, and then accidentally found magic powers in himself. The boy repelled the enemy's magic and was able to direct his powers at him. Chen Nan flew into the air, lit a fire circle with his right hand, and aimed it at the man in the straw hat, but the man flew up onto a rock, and the boy hit the ground with a magic circle. The boy rose into the air, ignited his magic, and shouted to the man who he was. The old man replied that he had to find out who he was. The man in the straw hat made a small magic ball and pointed it at the young boy. 3 men came out of the boy. The man realized who was in front of him. The souls of those he used to be returned to him. Chen Nan fell to the ground, and the old man turned and flew away. The boy shouted to the man that he had not lost to him and wanted to know who he was. The man replied that the boy should go and decide who he was and hit him with his magic power, so that the young man flew down. The emperor's daughter was bathing near the waterfall, and her assistants and guards were standing on the bank. It was into the river where Chu Yu was bathing that Chen Nan fell. The girl screamed, and he was captured by her guards. When Chu Yu got dressed, she slapped Chen Nan, saying, "You scoundrel, you bastard," and the boy grabbed her hand and asked her to listen to him. But the princess did not want to listen to him. The guards grabbed him again and held his hands, and the girl pulled out a sword and wanted to kill him. She took several swings at the boy, but he successfully dodged and twisted her. 621. Chen Nan asked him to listen. Chu Yu screamed for him to let her go, and he agreed, but on the condition that she listen to him and not fight. The princess agreed, and the boy let her go. The guy apologized and said that they had misunderstood, and at that moment the girl started to cry. Chen Nan went up to her and asked if she was okay. The boy said that he did not mean to hurt her. The princess cried and said that she was in pain. Chen Nan asked her what was wrong and where it hurt. The girl replied that he had broken her arm and began to beat him again. She ordered the servants to put a dog leash on him. A man with tied hair told how he had fought at the gates of the mortal realm to the women who treated his wounds. A girl in a white dress said that if he was such a great and noble warrior, why was he beaten so badly? The guy with the tied hair said that he was just fighting with half his strength and tried to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. But the guy who was in the cell said that he was just a braggart and that he would return to their cell now. At the bottom of the cave were cells with prisoners. The prisoners were hiding weapons in their cells, and at the right time, they pulled out their swords and started killing the guards. The prisoners came out of the cells and the battle began. The girls in the room on the second tier heard the sounds of weapons coming from below. They and the guy with the tied hair ran to the balcony to see what was happening. When the ladies saw the battle, they said, "Let's run away," and left. The guy with the tied hair ran after them. The girls dressed inconspicuously and went into a secret tunnel that led to who knows where. The boy's palms began to manifest the magical power that had been taken from him earlier. He saw the light and ran forward. The girls wanted to stop him, but the boy began to be pulled in by the statue, which had magical powers and was absorbing him. The girls managed to free the boy, and the statue sent a magical flame and a column of dust after them. They managed to escape unharmed. One of the prisoners recognized Ji Shui, the daughter of the prime minister, as the girl who was running away. The prisoner wanted to grab her, but the guy with the tail interrupted him and they ran away. The guy with the tail got his magic powers back and was able to resist the prisoners several times, but his strength was not enough to protect the girls and escape. The prisoners surrounded them. The guy with the tail suggested not fighting, but talking like civilized people, but he was not supported. The battle began. Jishu was also fighting. The girl also had magical powers, and when she was blocking the sword blows of the prisoners, another prisoner wanted to stab her from behind. Her assistant saw and covered her mistress with herself. The assistant was injured. The prisoners wanted to strike Jishui again, but her father's soldiers intervened in the fight. Jishui's father used his magic power to bring the prisoner who was in charge of the riot. He killed him. The other prisoners shouted that they would fight and rushed into the battle, but the prime minister quickly stopped them with magic. The survivors returned to their cells. The guy with the tail who helped Ji Shui was also put in a cell. Ji Shui tried to ask her father what he was up to. The prime minister did not want to tell her. He only wanted to marry his daughter to Lin Kun, his own son, and then the affairs that would take place would no longer concern her. Chen Nan was tied up and followed the horse Chu Yu was riding. The girl wanted to test whether it was true that if you pick up speed, a person can fly like a kite. She kicked the horse and the horse galloped away, and Chen Nan ran after them. In the woods, someone was following them. And when the girl broke away from the guards, an arrow was shot at her. The boy noticed the arrow and pulled the rope that tied him to the horse so that the horse stopped. The princess flew off the horse, and the arrow that was intended for the girl hit a tree. Chen Nan rushed to the girl, picked her up, and asked if she was okay. The girl was angry. She shouted at the boy what right he had to do this to her, to throw her off the horse. At that moment, bandits were flying out of the forest and wanted to kill the princess. Chen Nan pulled Chu Yu to his side, 1622, and let her go, and began to fight with the bandits to protect her. The princess's guards approached them, but the attackers were the best warriors. They defeated the guards very quickly. During the battle, the boy's magical powers were revealed. He was lifted into the air, and the box in which the divine bow was kept opened. The bow flew into Chen Nan's hands. The main bandit saw that the divine bow was in the boy's hands. The attacker rushed towards Chen Nan with a sword, and the boy pulled the bow and shot at the enemy. The girl was surprised to see someone able to shoot a bow. The boy fell unconscious. He was tied up and carried to the imperial court. Yishu met her friend and asked where she had been. The girl replied that since her father was sick, she went to get the divine bow and found someone funny. Shu Yu brought Ji Shui to the captive boy and asked if he looked like a monkey. Ken Nan regained consciousness and saw Ji Shui in front of him. He remembered that he had met her before. He called the girl Yuxin and said that he had finally found her, stretched out his hands to her, but Chu Yu immediately took them away and screamed at him, saying how could he touch her. Chu Yu pulled out a saber and wanted to hit the guy with it, but Ji Shui stopped her. Chu Yu was told that her father had regained consciousness and she could go to him. She told her to lock the boy up, but when she returned, he was already gone on a stretcher. Chu Yu ordered to find the prisoner. Chen Nan went into the room where the divine bow was. He approached it and the bow immediately flew into his hands. When he had the bow in his hands, he heard the girl who brought it to him telling her father how she had been attacked by bandits on the way and how scary it was that he might not see her again. Chen Nan hid in a room where the emperor and his daughter and servants entered. Chu Yu said that the bandits had to be found and killed, as she might not return alive. The daughter sat her father down and gave him medicine, but the emperor refused. Chu Yu went to Ji Shui and asked if there was nothing else that could be done. Ji Shui replied that the ginseng suit did not help, and that the fact that her father woke up was good. At that time, Chen Nan's magic reappeared in his hands and his arms stretched out. He empowered the sick man and he stood up saying that he felt much better. But as soon as the boy overpowered the magic and took the arm away, the man immediately became worse. The magic came out of the boy again, the hand pointed to the sick man, and the man became vigorous and healthy again. Chu Yu asked Ji Shui what was going on, but the girl did not know. Chen Nan overcame the magic and took away the power, and the man fell down again exhausted. Shu Yu saw that the divine bow was glowing. She took the bow and handed it to her father, saying that he should take it. The father took the bow in his hands, the bow shone, and the man regained his strength. As soon as the man began to thank his ancestors for giving him the power, the bow flew to Chen Nan, from whom the magic came. The boy could not hold on to the power and the bow pulled him out of his hiding place. Everyone in the hall saw the boy. Ji Shui came up to Chu Yu and said that she knew the reason. It turned out that Chen Nan had great spiritual power, and the ruler felt better thanks to the boy's spiritual field. Anyone who has spiritual power has a spiritual field. The ruler lost his spiritual power after the ceremony 3 years ago. When he has a strong spiritual field around him, his spiritual power is restored, and the same thing happens with the divine bow. Shu Yang called the guards to put the boy in a cage near the bow, but Ji Shui noticed that his spiritual power was unstable and that a strong spiritual field could both overwhelm a weak one and destroy a weak field. The ruler ordered Ji Shui to take the boy to the medical academy and look after him. The bandit who wanted to steal the divine bow stood in front of the prime minister and told him why he hadn't brought him the bow, and that he had seen that Chu Yang had found a boy somewhere who had unlimited spiritual power. The boy could draw the divine bow, but the boy could not control his power, because if he could use the power completely, the warrior would already be dead. The warrior who wanted to steal the divine bow was Lin Kun, Ji Shui's future husband. He wanted to marry her, as she was the only girl who did not pay attention to him. Chen Nan had a dream in which he was hugging his beloved, 2545, standing on the clouds, his fight with other fighters who have magical power, how the man used the divine bow. The boy woke up. Chen Nan approached Ji Shui and asked where he was, and asked again if she was sure she was not Yuxin. The girl replied that he was at the medical academy and that they had never met before, and the guy recognized her. Ji Shui explained that he had suffered a spiritual shock and that's why he had memory lapses. He asked if the girl had heard of the war between the gods and demons, which was the only thing he remembered. Ji Shui said that the books of the medical academy say that the Tao has two sides, and demons try to break through to the earth every 10,000 years. The last war took place 10,000 years ago. Chen Nan realized that all his relatives were dead, but why was he still alive? He asked if he had a chance to get his memories back. Ji Shui said that the memories could be bad and he would still look for them. The boy said yes, if he runs away from the pain, he will be in pain for the rest of his life. Ji Shui's fiancée came to see her, and she asked Chen Nan to hide, as the general has a hot temper and might misunderstand everything. Ji Shui asked him what brought him here at such a late hour. General Lai said that he had heard that Chu Yu had found a man with great spiritual power. He could destroy the great work of the Sima family. He asked the bride to inform him if she saw him. The girl replied that she was preparing a medicine for the emperor and was not interested in anything else. Chen Nan looked at the general. His shoes were the same as the bandit who had attacked them when he was being led to the emperor's court. Jishu was cold to the general. It made him angry. He leaned over to the girl and said that she would marry him anyway. It was already decided. Shen Nan told Ji Shui that it was her fiancé and his men who attacked the princess, and that the killer was wearing shoes with gold embroidery. However, the target of the bandits was not the princess, but the divine Bao. The emperor told his daughter that the people who had come for the divine sword could come again and kill them. Bandits appeared in front of them again, and a fight broke out between the guards and the bandits. The prime minister entered the hall and stopped the fight. The minister came because he heard that the emperor was feeling better thanks to a young man with strong spiritual power, and he also wanted to use his power. Chai Yu said that she had already torn him up for dog food. The emperor felt sick and asked everyone to leave. The son met the prime minister and said that the boy was not in Ji Shui. They had to find the boy. Ji Shui prepared a medicine that would help the boy contain the spiritual power. The girl left Chen Nan and went to her foster father, who wanted to know where the man with the strong spiritual power had gone. Ji Shui said that he had run away and she did not know where he was. The prime minister told Ji Shui that the divine Bao is an artifact and only a celestial warrior can draw this Bao. Chen Nan came out of the house and the princess hit him on the back and he fell unconscious. Chai Yu put him in chains. She started throwing knives at him, but Chen Nan broke free and held a knife to the princess's throat. The prime minister, Ji Shui, and her fiancé immediately ran to the dungeon. The guards took the princess out of the dungeon and Chen Nan was thrown into a cell. In the cell, 3 prisoners were mocking a guy with his hair tied up, and Chen Nan heard and stood up for the guy. The princess learned that Ji Shui was being forced to marry someone she did not love. Ji Shui said that he had raised her. She could not go against her foster father, as her real parents were criminals who had been killed. Chai Yu reminded the girl that it was the prime minister who killed her parents. Chen Nan asked the boy with the tied hair to tell him in detail about the war between the gods and demons, as he had heard that he was called the descendant of dragons. The boy began to tell stories. Chen Nan said that he did not remember the boy in that war. He asked what memories he had of that war. Chen Nan said that he remembered almost nothing from his past. Jishu recalled the moments when Chen Nan asked who she was and how he said that no one from his family was left alive. Chen Nan's strength did not return. His cellmate wanted to tell him how he could escape from prison, but Chen Nan asked him to keep quiet as the guards were already standing near them. Jishu came after Chen Nan. She wanted to come to get him out of prison. The men came out of the courtyard. They were walking around the city. The guy with the tail said that Jishu was wearing a wedding dress. The girl was getting married to a general today. Chen Nan came to Jishui's wedding. He stopped the wedding saying that the girl did not love her future husband, so that he would not force her to marry him. A battle broke out between the men. Chen Nan approached Ji Shui and took her away. 4943 The prime minister used force to stop the couple, but Chen Nan's strength was stronger. Chen Nan killed Lin Kun. Ji Shui led the boys to the archives of the imperial court, where they could find answers to the questions Chen Nan was asking. The prime minister came to see a grantmaster who could resurrect Lin Kun after absorbing all the power of the imperial family and Chen Nan. The grantmaster took all the spiritual power of the prime minister. Chen Nan and his comrades came to the prime minister, but he was already dead. The patriarch appeared before them and killed many people. Chen Nan wanted to use his spiritual power against the patriarch, but he absorbed his power and disappeared. The grantmaster appeared before the emperor and his daughter, and they were happy to see him. The emperor said that he was ill with something and was losing strength every day. The grantmaster said that he already knew the situation, so he would perform a ceremony that would help all the living. Chen Nan regained consciousness, and Ji Shui was sitting next to him. He wanted to stand up but couldn't, and the girl explained that his spiritual strength was gone. Ken Nan remembered the words of the old man he met first when he appeared in this kingdom. The man told him to choose who he wanted to be. A prayer ceremony began. The emperor asked the Grandmaster to pray for the kingdom of Chu. The Grandmaster began to use his power and took away the spiritual powers of others. 1321. The guards tried to stop him, but could not, and the princess's power was also too weak to stop him. Chen Nan appeared in front of him, and Ji Shui tried to help him, but her strength was weak. A guy with tied hair came to the rescue. He was a true descendant of dragons. During the battle, his spiritual power was released and he turned into a dragon. With the flames, the dragon was able to upset the balance and the spiritual power returned to Chen Nan. Chen Nan rose into the air, and a divine bow flew to him. The warrior began to shoot heavenly arrows at the master's grant. The guy with the tied hair turned into a dragon again, and the Grandmaster also became a dragon. Chen Nan saddled his friend and the three of them began to fight. Chen Nan shot arrows into a funnel that appeared in the sky, and the Grandmaster was defeated. The emperor's spiritual powers returned.